Assalamu alaikum. Today is day 10 of Ramadan. And as per request, I'm going to change the format and begin the Kitab Tawheed because I've had many requests on why you didn't just start with Tawheed. Well, there are many lessons in English on Tawheed. Yes, they are all very basic, very elementary, very simple. I just thought there'd be enough out there to please the level of the American speaker, or I don't want to say the Americans. I always say the English language speakers, because the subject of Tawheed is definitely the number one major subject in Islam. There's nothing more important. However, there's not a lot published. And the reason for that is somehow it's gotten a bad rap. They say it's Wahhabism and it's terrorism and it's something that should be actually avoided to delve into this subject. The word Tawheed means oneness. Wahada, Tawheed, Wahada, Tawahad, Tawheed. It simply means that the only religion, the only deen is Islam. And other deens, it says in Quran, are not accepted. And the problem with the subject of Tawheed is it will give you proofs so that nobody is going to say, oh, the Abrahamic religions and they're all the same. And no. So it's not that I was avoiding it. It's simply that I thought I would give you Quranic verses because that's so, I don't want to say much more reliable, but you know what I mean. Nobody is going to complain when you read Quran and you know what it means. And then you read the translation, it's perfect. It's the words of Allah. However, those who criticize this book, Kitab al-Tawheed, don't know what they're talking about because they've never read it. And that's because it hasn't been widely circulated. I mean, I got this in Cairo 20 years ago. So I want to give you a background about this book before I choose the passages. The name of the book is, this book, Al-Qawl al-Mufid ala Kitab al-Tawheed. The beneficial words about the book called Kitab al-Tawheed. And it has sharh. That means it has explanations, annotations by a very great sheikh from Saudi Arabia, Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymin. Allah yarhamu, he's passed now. So because of this, politics just has to stick itself into everything. So if you enjoy this, they'll call you a Wahhabi, and then they'll call you a terrorist. Too bad they don't even know it's in it, because shame on them. It's a disgrace. You know how they would dare to use the word Wahhabi in any other way other than to wahhab something. Wahaba, it means to give you a gift, to give you a prize, a priceless wahaba lak. It's in the Quran. But because the ignorant people are always after the truth, and we know who they are, Allah's told us who they are, they don't want the light of Islam to shine. So when someone commented, actually it was two people, why don't you do Tawheed? Why are you overlooking Tawheed? And it just hit me. I felt sad and I thought, well, I didn't mean to do anything wrong. It's Ramadan. And then I thought about it and I said, you know what? After I talked about myself and those little bios, I felt even more guilty because someone requested that too. Am I a people pleaser? Yes, I am on my channel. I want you to enjoy my channel. And I want you to keep coming back. It's not monetized, I tell you this. It's because you're Muslims and you're English-speaking Muslims. I don't just get English-speaking Muslims. I get other types. These types that told me do Tawheed, Arabic names. And they write it in Arabic. So I know where they're coming from. It's Ramadan. So I'm going to do it. However, I'm warning you. Warnings usually come about danger. No, this is the opposite. This book has 2 volumes, totaling 1,000 pages. Why am I holding this? Because I had to have it split in 2. It's called the Mujallad. And in Egypt, they did that for me so that I could have 2 volumes, and the 2 volumes would be easier to manage. So now, just to give you a little glimpse, each volume is almost 500 pages. Yeah, 497 pages. And I'm just telling you about the table of contents. Literally, out of these first 500 pages, about 300 of them are specifically about Tawheed, meaning, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an Muhammad abdu rasuluh. Tawheed is aqidah, what you base your doctrine, your dogma of your Islam on. So if you get this wrong, you're not going to get anything right. Now, the reason this book is so weighty is of the sharh. Sheikh Uthaymeen literally took the original book, was only a couple of hundred, less than 300 pages, and he just expanded everything. He expanded the meanings of the words. He expanded on the seerah, on the fiqh, and on the Arabic grammar, and of the ikhtilaf of ulama, of the differing opinions of the scholars. This book really, truly is an indispensable book for anyone that wants to delve deeply into their shahada. Didn't we all make the shahada? So that's why I'm on my second reading of both of these volumes. And it's so weighty and it's so explicitly detailed. It's a little bit difficult to choose the best parts because they're all the best parts. So I know you know the basics. Some of you would know the very, very basics about the shahada. But I'm going to start in what I've chosen for you to be what I think is the easiest for you to digest, because it's scattered. This book is not set out as we would think it would be, being a very rich book about law. It's so detailed that I'm trying my best to give you the most basic parts that you could benefit from. So now, let's start with the actual shahada itself. He always begins with hadith too, to prove that this is not coming out of his imagination. Everything in here is Quran and hadith. That's why these detractors are just they should check out and go to some other sphere of something. But they're ever present here on YouTube. You know that. Okay. So An Ibadah bin Samit, that's the Rawi, the person who's relating this. Radiyallahu anhu, qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Man shahada an la ilaha illallah wahdu la sharika lahu, wa anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu, wa an Isa abdullah wa rasuluhu, wa kalimatuhu alqaha ila Maryam, wa ruhu minnu, wal jannatul haqq wa narul haqq, adkhul Allahu al jannah ala ma kana min al amal. This is hadith from Sahih Bukhari, saying, whoever makes the shahada, and we know what that is, la ilaha illallah wahdu, la sharika lah. There's no association of partners with Allah. And Prophet Muhammad is his servant and his messenger. And Isa is also the slave of Allah, Abdullah. You know, Abd means to be a slave. Yes. I've gone over this before in meanings. Abdullah wa Rasuluhu. So he's getting the same description as Muhammad. Muhammad Abdu wa Rasuluhu, Isa Abdullahi wa Rasuluhu. Wa kalimatuhu alqaha ila Maryam. Allah gave this to Maryam. Wa ruhu minhu. Ruhu minhu is nothing to do with Allah being broken into. This is what the Christians will try to accuse to get you off the path. They'll say, it says here that he's the ruhu minnu, because they say il ab wa ibn wa ruh al qudus. And that's not what it means. We don't have this split into tathlith, which means three. We have Tawheed, which is one. And we have to testify that the Jannah is haq and the nar is haq. The paradise is real and the fire is real. So when you testify to this, you will go to the Jannah. And this is very, 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 very important. Ala makana min al-amal, according to what you have done of deeds. And this is different from the Christians. The Christians, you just say Jesus Christ died for my sins, crucified and was buried. It's all you have to do. And they tell you if you do that, you will go to the Jannah. So you see right away we have a huge difference here. There's a verse in the Quran in Surah Al-An'am. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الذين آمنوا ولم يلبسوا إيمانهم بالظلم. Those who believe and do not do dhulm. Dhulm means to put something in the wrong place. Your heart is for Allah. It should be for no one else but Allah. So he's telling you here, where it says, Lam yalbasu, and this is what's so great about this book. Every single word is given a descriptive, which is no escape. He's telling you this means yakhlitu. Yakhlitu means to mix. The word for the mixer is khalata. You know, when you put in the lentils and you want to make it soup. Khalata. La yakhlit. La yakhlitu. Do not mix up this with anything else. So by reading this and the way he gives you the meanings, it helps you in Arabic. You can connect the words with the Arabic. And this is something that is irreplaceable, the way he does this in this major tome. Shahada la takunu, and this is his sharh. He's explaining. This is not a hadith per se. Shahada la takunu illa an ilm sabiq. You can't say your shahada unless you have prior knowledge of what you're talking about. And then he gives a verse of Quran, Surah Al-Ghufr, Surah Al-Zukhruf. We have a half an hour until iftar. And here it is, the ayah to prove this. إِلَّا مَنْ شَهِدَ بِالْحَقِّ وَهُوَ يَعْلَمُ. Meaning, some of these shahadas that are witnessed in some of these masajids, many people reject them and say these people come off the street, you talk to them for 10 minutes, and then they say, yes, I want to be Muslim. La ilaha illallah. And then they get the hugs and the kisses. They might get a free gift of a Quran and a prayer rug. That's not really the shahada. I mean, it's a shahada by their tongue, but they don't have the ilm inside it, you see. And that's what it's so important that this book be well known and well circulated, because it's giving you the aqidah in an exact way. And actually, the title of this chapter is Fadlu at-Tawheed wa ma yukaffiru min adhanub. The benefit of Tawheed, and by which, if you know it very well, it will get rid of your sins. Now, I'm going to do a part 2 because I keep saying I'm going to do 10 minutes, and right now we're 14 minutes. But I'm going to do part 2 right now because part 2, I'm going to give you one of the most controversial aspects of my life ever since I became a Muslim. And it's worth doing it right now. So I'm going to close this one out. I'm going to open up call part 2. And I am going to give you, which is my most precious gift to you, because nobody tells you this. And most people will reject this. They'll argue with me. They'll actually try to argue with Kitab al-Tawheed, Shaykh al-Uthaymin. Why? Because their knowledge is so much less, because they don't study. They don't take their Islam seriously. But they will now when they hear part 2, inshallah. One more minute, and when we open it up.